Gareth Bale, probably the most successful British footballer of all time. Tied the knot about June 2019 in Mallorca. Lived in a big, £1 million wedding, all this kind of thing. Do you know what? It's very different though to 60 years ago, right? Brian Clough, he couldn't even afford a spare afternoon for his ceremony. So when he was married on the day to Brian Clough, another Middlesbrough girl, he had to leave his newlywed and dash off for a kick-off. Leyton Orient beat Middlesbrough that day, but Clough scored. And then he went back to his wife, Barbara. So next year, I'm going to be writing a book called Middlesbrough's Own. I think there's 9 or 10 books on Brian Clough. But there's never been one like this, and the clues in the name. I've got many people who knew him from a Middlesbrough side, and I am going to be speaking to a couple of people, like Martin O'Neill, who played for him, and Steve Stone under Forest, and Alan Thompson's got. So everyone has a memory of Brian Clough, whether you met him for a minute like I did when I was 15. In my head, when I met him, so I met him in April 95 as a just gone 15-year-old. But in my head, he was just a Nottingham Forest manager who got them relegated in 93. And maybe won a couple of League Cups, but I didn't realise the greatness. And I mean, even yesteryear, when all the greats were about, Ron Atkinson, Alex Ferguson, Malcolm Allison, and they all knew Cloughie was the boss. Do you know what I mean? He was just... He won the European Cup in 1979, and just to prove how great he was, he did it again the year after. So before he was the world's, before he was, kind of Jose Mourinho, 30 years before Jose Mourinho come along, he was Middlesbrough's. He was, in actual fact, 11 Valley Road, which is Groville. Brian Clough, I never quite understand how Middlesbrough, they name hospitals after James Cook, when in actual fact, as soon as James Cook was like an adult, he basically pissed off to live at 88 Marlin Road in Whitechapel. And Brian Clough, he's, although, there is a statue of him in Albert Park, and I just think, do you know what, in my head, Brian Clough is the greatest Middlesbrough figure of all time. And I've done a few Middlesbrough books, quite a few I probably shouldn't have done. But this guy absolutely merits a proper story. So next year, I'm going to be getting my head down and bringing out a side of basically that's never been done before. And it's going to be Middlesbrough's Own. I've actually been and spoke to the guy who lives in Brian Clough's house, still to this day, and he actually took over from the Clough family. I think he's been there, many, many years, and, before Brian died in 2004, he would often come to his house and reminisce and bring him gifts and all this kind of thing. So next year, I'm going to be writing it. So if anyone wants to follow the Facebook page, I'm going to put the link in the bio for this video. So Middlesbrough's Own, Brian Clough, a totally, truly one-off character, touched by madness, but also genius, and in my head, in my opinion, the greatest football manager of all time. I think he was voted something like the ESPN's third greatest. Alex Ferguson was number one. Yeah, I'd agree with that, but Cloughie, he was, and the only thing he never won was the FA Cup, but I think he'd lost the final or something, and for what he actually done for Derby County, taking him up from the old second division, then taking him up from the first division and winning that will never be done again. And then of course what he done in Nottingham Forest, the guy is a god. I think there's a stand written named after him of Cloughie in Nottingham Forest's ground, and quite rightly a statue in the centre of Nottingham, I'm told as well. Brian Clough loved Nottingham, loved Derby, and there was a actual fact that's why he's laid to rest. And he gave out a quote a couple of years back, which is something like, "The River Trent is amazing. I know, I walked on it for 18 years." And that's it, the guy was a god. And I really, really must go to Nottingham one day and do a bit of research. But next year, Middlesbrough's own Brian Clough, written by myself, Jamie Boyle, will be coming out. And what a book that will be.